guys, Trisha Turner here. It's Tuesday, 12 o'clock Central. This is Walk Away Wealthy. 3 years running now, like almost every single week, 2 o'clock, Tuesday, 12 o'clock. Purpose of the podcast, Walk Away Wealthy in Wisdom. So we're trying to bring you knowledge to help you, improve your life, grow your business, and be like positive. We got enough negativity in this world. We need to bring some positivity. So I've got someone right here in the Houston market with me. Katie Day is here. She's got a huge following. She's been in real estate for a long time. She believes in the same things that we believe in. So I'm super excited about today. Welcome, Katie.
Hey, thanks so much for having me.
Heck yeah. So for the people that maybe don't know you or a little bit of your story, I just told everybody you're here in Houston with me, but tell everybody a little bit of your backstory, how long you've been in real estate and so forth.
Yeah, for sure. So I got into real estate full time in 2017 after working in property management for almost 10 years. So I got into, residential real estate back then and, I enjoyed it a lot. My husband got into real estate with me as well. We both kind of did our own thing. And then in 2018, we decided to start a team. And so we went down that path in 2018 and have grown from, just he and I back then to 13 team members today. And yeah, we sell real estate in Houston.
I love that. Now, you guys that follow our story, you know that we switched over to Real probably like 2 months ago now from EXP. And that's how I met Katie. And so, Katie, for one, I don't even know how you and I both been in Houston all this time and didn't run into each other, so that's crazy. But the even crazier thing is that we're both part of this brokerage here in Houston where people are really like, it's an unknown thing. Like, what is Real? So my first question to you is like, where did you start in 2017? And then how did you end up on Real, which no one really had heard about yet?
Yeah, for sure. So, when I went full time into real estate, I was with Coldwell Banker. And so one of my friends who actually helped me with my home when I purchased my first home became a branch manager of one of the offices. And so I went to go work with him. It was a great opportunity to be able to learn, and work with people side by side. And then in 2021, late 2020, early 2021, we started to think about potentially making a change. And so we interviewed with a lot of different brokerages here locally, both, cloud-based and brick and mortar, companies. And, the conversation around Real really interested me, right? Back then when we joined, we were about 2,000 agents. So we didn't have a lot of agents. There weren't that many, here in Houston. And so, for us, it was an exciting opportunity to be able to join a company that was still very, very young and very new. And the obvious financial benefits of being able to come to a company where the splits are good and there's a cap. I hadn't had a cap before, and there's a lot of opportunity for our team members as well, to be able to potentially make money from the stock purchasing plan or revenue share, and again, just making more money per transaction.
All right, and that opens like a lot of, for me, questions. So for people that missed the episode last week, I was just telling Katie, I interviewed Tamir, who is the founder of Real. And I didn't know much about Real when I moved into the company a couple of months ago. I knew a lot of my friends were in the company already. The people that I met that were there, it was genuine. It was real. And it was what I was looking for. Then after listening to his interview and then talking to him off air, like his vision is insane and it's so genuine and so real. Like, when he told me he was in 2019, the company was down to like 50 grand. Like he was like spinning his wheels. Like, what are we
Yeah.
going to do? And some people encouraged him, like, maybe this wasn't the path that you should have been on. But he was like, I never gave up on my vision. I never was going to be like, no, I'm not doing this. He said, I'm going to see this through. And I thought about that. And I'm like, and the day I freaking interviewed him, the war is breaking out in Israel and he's in Israel. I'm like, hey, thank you for jumping on in the middle of bombs going off out there. So that was insane, just so real. How did you, when you think of it, there was only 2,000 agents, like most people would have been, oh, this isn't for me, like it's too much of a startup. What made you so sure it was going to be a hit?
Um, Obviously there's always some uncertainty, right? Like
Yeah.
I think that we were steadfast in our decision, right? Like once we made the decision and we talked to the team and the team was in and we all were ready to make the move, the decision was made and it was happening. I think for me, our focus has always been on selling real estate. And, for me, I was like, I think that this could be really cool. I think, the opportunity to help to build a brokerage is something that, it shouldn't be taken lightly. And I was very interested in. And then I think that, for me, it was like, hey, if it doesn't work out, there's, thousands of brokerages here in Houston, right? So we'd be able to figure it out. We'd be able to continue to help our clients, buy and sell real estate. And so, um, I wasn't nervous or scared, but I was like, if this doesn't work out, we can go anywhere else. We can figure it out. So we didn't really have a backup plan, but we knew, we'd figure it out if we needed to.
So you went all in.
Yeah.
Now, fast forward 2023, last quarter of 2023, any regrets?
No, I was talking to a friend about this the other day, and I think the only regret that people have once they're here and everything is like that they didn't come over sooner, or they didn't do it sooner. And so we definitely we started the conversations in 2020, right, and then didn't come over until the summer of 2021, and we definitely should have done it sooner, but I think that everything happens in the time frame that it should. So
Yeah.
all is well there.
So when you look, I'm thinking of Coldwell Banker. So I've been at like every big box company out there, including Coldwell Banker, and then having my own. Going from Coldwell Banker to Real, two totally different models. Did you interview other companies when you were trying to make that decision?
When we were leaving CB,
Yeah.
yeah, no, I mean, we met with, people here locally with EXP. We met with, a lot of the big, name brick and
Yeah.
mortars, some local franchises with like brick and mortars and things like that. And, we were really doing our due diligence to find, the right fit for us and the right fit for our team. And Real to me was the best opportunity, not only for me as a team leader, but also for my agents, right? And them in their careers as well. So yeah, I mean, we probably met with 4 or 5 different brokerages before pulling the trigger.
So when you were at Coldwell Banker, mine, I haven't been at Coldwell Banker in a long time, but my interpretation when I was there was like it was old school. It's old school. It's not innovative. It's older people just kind of doing the same old thing that it's not going to work anymore. You're going to be phased out. What was the deciding factor in you like, I'm not happy here anymore and I want to look for something different?
To be completely honest, like we weren't looking to make a change. We were approached by, some people to potentially make a change here locally. And as we continue to explore that option of, kind of teaming up with a couple of people, we were like, okay, if we're actually going to leave CB, we need to do some due diligence and make sure that like, this is the right option. And I won't say where that was, but like, it wasn't real, right? Like the option wasn't real. And so, as we were looking into different cloud-based brokerages, different models, different brick and mortars and things like that, it got to the point where I was like, okay, I think we're actually going to leave CB. We should meet with our friends over at Real and see what they have to say and see what's happening over there. And the more we explored this, the more I was like, this is, I think where we should be and where we should go.
And don't you think like it's changed the way you think about real estate and the way you scale your company and the way you build your team?
Yeah, I mean, I think the opportunity, with cloud-based models, like Real, like EXP, really just I think opens up your mind to obviously different ways in which your agents can earn income. It opens up, the amount that you're able to make per transaction. So yeah, I mean, it was definitely, everything was fine where we were. But then when we made the change, you're like, oh man, I can't believe we didn't do this sooner.
And then when you say cloud-based brokerage, people think of that and they're like, yeah, well, then they don't have any offices. But you have an office, you have brick and mortar, don't you?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, so we have one. I know y'all do as well.
Yep.
So we ended up buying a building. But we've got people, in our city, and people that I'm friends with here at Real, that they're in co-working spaces, they're renting spaces, they're doing some different stuff as far as office space. So I think between some people having physical brick and mortars as well as different masterminds and things like that. I mean, I would say I'm more connected with agents at Real than I ever was in a brick and mortar with thousands of agents across Houston.
Isn't that crazy? It's like the virtual companies. I don't know. Once you find like your group, like you're connected and it just kind of grows from there. And you find that people actually seek that. They want that, that synergy.
Yeah, 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 certainly.
And I think here in Houston, again, like it's still a huge opportunity. There's people that don't know, like, what is real. Crazily, when I go to Champions Real Estate School and I sponsor classes and I talk to people, and oftentimes when I would go before and talk about another company that I was with, there would be chatter in the rooms and things, I would leave there and be like, "Oh, that sucked." I've been in now 2 times since I've been with Real, and it's a different crowd. Now when I talk about, "Hey, I'm with Real," and I start talking about Real, people stop talking and they're like, "What is Real? I've never heard of Real, like, tell me more." And
Yeah,
it's like, you know what? It was a big awakening for me because I come from an area where people weren't happy and aren't happy where they are, but they don't know of an alternative. And a lot of people don't want to go to KW, they just don't want the model. A lot of people don't want to go to EXP because they don't want the name, and they don't really know like what is the other option. I don't want to go, like, for me it's like I'm not going back independent because I don't believe in that model. So then what was the other option? And Real is like this amazing solution that nobody knows about yet, which is odd to me. Like, how does no one know about this name yet? What do you think about that?
yeah. I mean, I think that a lot of times people, especially over the past couple years in real estate, everyone's kind of kept their head down and just tried to, uh, you know, deal with the business that's been coming in. So I think that, I mean, we're continuing to grow. But when you look at it, we have 12,000 agents or so across the country. There's 1.3 or probably 1.2 now million realtors across the country. So there's still so much market share, available. So yeah, it's kind of cool.
It's super cool. I tell my agents, I'm like, y'all don't understand. Like, this is huge. Number one, because it's an awesome freaking company and they're in total alignment with us. But number two, this can change your life. It can and will be life changing if you do it correctly. And like I tell my team, like we have a whole training center. So it's like we train people at the highest level. We need you out selling houses because that's what makes our economy run. That's our job, you
Yeah.
know? Like, I'm not losing sight of that at all. In fact, I train at even a higher level with them now because I know how important it is because our economy is in the freaking toilet. And if we don't make something happen, we're just going to continue to sink.
Yeah.
Here in the Houston market, let's talk about that a little bit. So, you went through COVID. You guys were selling houses like crazy. You're super visible on YouTube and you've got like a huge following on social media. How long did it take you to build that? And did you do it prior to COVID?
Yeah. So, getting into real estate, I had always followed, a lot of different coaches and companies and different things like that. And so Tom Ferry was one that I followed for a long time. And, his thing has always been being on social, and providing value to people. And, what I looked at was like his platform and what he does, right? And so when you go to like Tom Ferry's YouTube, he's literally giving you the blueprint, right,
Yeah.
for what you need to do to be successful as a real estate agent. And, at the same time, he has this coaching company, right, that people pay thousands of dollars per month and per year to coach, and get additional insights and accountability and things like that. And so I kind of thought of, my real estate business in the same way, right? If I can provide value and information to potential buyers and sellers, yeah, they may take that information and go work with someone else, but the probability of them taking that information and then coming to work with me and the team, is generally pretty high. And so we've always tried to be, that resource for people, that live in the Houston area or are looking to move here. And it's something that I've done, the entire time, that I've been in real estate. It's just kind of evolved over the years, and continuing to do it over time has led to improving the skill and the quality of what we're putting out.
So did you start doing YouTube and social media in 2017?
Yeah, I mean, it looks nothing like it does today, right? But like we definitely we were doing a lot of it back then. On Facebook and things like that. Like I would do a Facebook live video on every new listing, and then we would run campaigns to those and things like that. And it's just funny looking back at those now, because it's like dropping your phone and like running into walls and stuff,
Oh yeah.
and now it's like, we do professionally shot photos on all of our and videos, on all of our listings. And so, things have evolved and changed over the years. And so I think that starting it back then was helpful, for the foundation to get to where we are now.
Oh, big time. And then your team, do they participate too, or is it mostly just you doing it?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, people, especially like our agent partners that have listings and do listings, they're doing listing videos for their for their particular or personal listings and things like
Yeah.
that. So I think that it varies depending on the comfort level, of everyone on the team, but everyone's encouraged to, and we share, different video ideas or social media ideas and different stuff like that. So it's definitely a collaborative effort, to try to get everyone involved.
And like Tom Ferry says, like if you're not doing video, you're going to be irrelevant. Like no one's going to know you. Obviously, that's working for you because I think when you and I talked before, doesn't most of your business come from social media?
Yeah, about 20% of our business comes from social media. The remainder comes from, referral partners and, our clients and Sphere and referrals from them. So we have a pretty good mix of different pillars for business.
And with you guys being so like present and relevant on social media and continuing to like change that and be innovative, a lot of people you hear, number one, they don't want to do video because they don't like the way they look, they don't like the way they sound. They're like, I don't have the right tools, I don't have the right equipment, and I don't have time. Talk about some of that stuff. What kind of tools are you guys using? I mean, and really how time consuming is it?
Yeah, I mean, I think that like anything, you just have to make the time for it or block out the time for it. And so, for people that are looking to do content, finding time to come up with the ideas and come up with what you're actually going to be, doing, and then also finding the time to shoot content, right? As far as equipment, like I've bought, every camera and gimbal and, all of the things, and tools and things, that's been sold at every conference.
Oh,
I recommend though, for most people, if you aren't shooting a ton of video, like your camera on your cell phone is high enough quality for you to get started, right? And get comfortable in talking directly to a camera and and all of that. And then, if you're shooting regularly, then maybe invest in something else. But like at a certain point, if you're going for quality, unless you're going to spend hours on end learning how to shoot and edit and do all of the things, like that time is probably better spent and money is better spent just hiring a videographer,
yeah.
and shooting with a videographer and, them doing the shooting and editing and you just spending a couple hours with them shooting content. And
Yep.
then, they provide you the finished product as opposed to you shooting it and then editing it and then captioning it and then doing this and doing that, just giving it to someone else and using that time, to prospect or go on appointments or do things like that.
Yeah, and then like you guys coming up with the content that you do, and of course now you've got a track record and you've got a history of a lot of videos, a ton of videos. Where do you see the audience, especially lately, maybe even this year? Where do you see like your most views coming from? What kind of content?
As far as views go, I mean, I think that it's generally content that I don't want to say that's controversial because like I don't think I post things that are controversial, but like things that are a little bit more conversation provoking, right? What we generally see is content that garners more comments and shares and saves and things like that will then also garner more views. So if you have something that people think is interesting or they disagree with or agree with, those are the type of things that will generally have more views. So it's normally the topics that are again, I think controversial is a bad word, but a little bit more conversation provoking.
Just lost you for a minute. Sorry, I don't know what happened with my internet, like totally blacked out. When I was thinking of like people and their content and what people are most interested in, of course, now the news is like crazy with war stuff all over it. So it's like, well, holy hell, no one saw that one coming. But I know for most of this year, there's been like huge talk about the real estate market, which is what everybody needs to be talking about. And there's such a big misconception, like, are we in a housing crash? Are we in a crisis? What's your thoughts on the market that we're in right now and coming out of COVID? Like, what have you seen differently and where do you think we're headed?
Yeah. No, I mean this year has definitely been an interesting year just with where interest rates are. And since interest rates are significantly higher than they were for 2020 and 2021, properties are just moving a lot slower, right? And so while, I'm sure y'all are seeing this as well, some properties are still hitting the market and selling pretty quickly. It's not uncommon, to have a property sit for 2 to 3 weeks before seeing any offers. And so it's something that, we've had to realign our expectations, and coach our clients around those expectations as well. I think as far as where things are headed, we've started to see prices, they dropped a little bit from the highs of the summer of 2022, and we're starting to see them come back up again a little bit. Inventory is still low-ish here, but I, I think that as properties still move slowly, we're going to continue to see those numbers creep up, which is better news for buyers. So I mean, I think time will tell, and I think interest rates will really be the indicator of kind of where things go moving forward.
If you, I want to see kind of where, pick your brain here. So if you had to put a timeline per se, or like a guess, when do you think interest rates, because we all know they're going to come back down, not to where they were ever, probably, but they're going to come down. They're not saying 8%. When do you think they're going to start that trickle downward?
The last that I spoke with my one of my lenders, they were saying that they're likely going to stay high through the end of this year. I think moving into next year with an election year, I would think that they would come down some, over the next 12 months. Just because, politicians want happy people voting out there, and things like that. But and that's both sides. That's not like, well, the Democrat side or the Republican side. Like all politicians want us, at the polls and want us voting.
For sure.
So I think that as we move closer into this time next year, they hopefully will come down some. But I think most people, experts and economists are saying that they're probably going to be in the 6 and 7 range, for the foreseeable future.
When they start coming down, even if they get to in the sixes, a lot of people believe that these buyers that have been on the fence now for almost a year, like not making a move, will finally get off that fence and purchase. What's your thoughts about that?
I mean, I think it depends on when those buyers initially started considering purchasing a home, right? Because when we first started seeing them come out of the threes and into the fours and into the fives and go up, there were some buyers that had gotten pre-approved at a 3% interest rate, and then when the rate's 4.5 or 5, they're like, okay, there's no way I'm going to buy, right? And then we have some buyers that got pre-approved at 5% and didn't think anything of it. So I think that if someone got pre-approved or started initial conversations with a lender and their rate was in that 4 to 6% range, and rates come from 8 back down to 7 or 6, then yeah, they'll probably get off the fence and get back into the market, right? But if they are expecting a 3% interest rate, they're going to be waiting for a really long time.
Yeah. And when you think about it, it's like we're in this gridlock position because sellers, a lot of them have interest rates much below 4%. And they're like, yeah, I'm not selling my house to go pay 8%. And then you got buyers that are like, I'm not paying 8% period. So I'm not pulling the trigger on anything. And it's like, where's the resolution, you know?
Yeah. No, I mean, and we've seen a lot of buyers go to new construction, right?
Yeah.
Just because of that, right? And so, I think that as a lot of the listings that we've been taking have been like life changes, right? So people have gotten a new job or they're moving across the country or doing different things. So yeah, it'll certainly be interesting to see over the next you know, 12 months.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about homeowners insurance because I've been like with the podcast, I've been doing updates around the United States because, like, why are we listening to the news? I have friends all over the world. Like, let's get live updates from people. What I've come to realize is that, here in Texas, we have a real situation with homeowners insurance, but you talk to people in Vegas and other areas, they don't. Now, California and Florida, they do. And of course, Texas. What people don't realize is that our homeowners insurance is like at an all time high, too. So that affects buyers' purchasing power. How much of that are you guys hearing as far as feedback goes from your buyers? Is it really affecting them?
Yeah, for some, it definitely is. We always recommend that instead of just going direct to one insurance provider, they go to something like a Goosehead or somewhere where they can search multiple providers, to
Yeah.
be able to get the best rate and the best deal. Because if you just go to, a Progressive or a State Farm or whatever, like you're just getting those policies, and someone at like a Goosehead or an insurance broker can normally look, over multiple companies and things like that to be able to provide at least a few options, and hopefully something that's a little bit more affordable than some of the quotes that buyers are seeing. So I think that we'll see. I know we're definitely not as bad as I know Florida and California, as you said. Like a lot of insurance providers are just completely pulling out of those states. So we'll see how things progress. Moving forward.
It's a crazy world, like being in real estate. I've been in it for a long time. You have two, and it's like it's changed dramatically. And like anything that we predict or project, we have like no clue of now because this is stuff that we've never seen before. And I think when people like we got buyer's agent commission that is no longer a thing. Like now we are being paid service fees, and that'll continue to evolve. And as people talk more about that, it's going to be a real awakening for a lot of sellers and for real estate agents, number one, who really only work with buyers. They're going to be like, how do I get compensated? How are you guys as a team handling that yet? Or are y'all addressing that at all?
Yeah, I mean, this is something that over the past few years we've definitely been having conversation around. And so one of the things that we've been focusing in on has been, reviewing the buyer agency agreement with potential clients, in those initial consultations, and explaining to them what having a relationship, and having a signed document means, and what how much compensation may or may not be. And if we're signing an agreement for a certain percentage or for a certain amount, then what that means if the listing brokerage and the seller aren't offering compensation. And so we've had that conversation over the past few years when what is on our agreement doesn't necessarily equal what's being offered in the MLS.
Yeah.
But it's definitely something that we're having more conversation around, and practicing, those objections and conversations more and more, for sure.
You have to because now it's here. So, and a lot of people aren't talking about that. And it's like, you know what? This is for real now. And I think we have to educate ourselves and then decide, like, what does this look like moving forward? And especially into 2024.
Yeah, for sure.
So when I talked to Tamir, he said, I asked him about the market because he's been doing this a long time and he's been through like ups and downs. And so I said, what do you think of the market that we're in right now? And where do you think it's headed? And he's like, I think this is one of the hardest markets we've ever been through, one of the most challenging. And he said, I think we're in the worst part of it too. He said, but I think we probably have 3 more months of this part, like what we're in right now. And I agree with him. What's your thoughts about that in 2024?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think one of the things that we kind of fail to remember, and I know I'm included in it, is like this time of year has always been a little bit slower, right? Like the back to school time frame. September is normally a slow month. So when you
Yep.
look at sales, that's normally the little dip on the post summer sales.
Yep.
And so when you couple that here with you know post back to school timeframe, and then interest rates, things definitely slow down. But then as we move through the holidays, the biggest objection we see from buyers is, oh, I'm going to wait until after the new year, or oh, I'm going to wait until after Thanksgiving, or oh, whatever it may be. Um, so I think that the remainder of this year will still be tough. And then again, like depending on where interest rates are after the first of the year, I think a lot of buyers will start to kind of come back to the market. It also gives them a little bit more time to save and things like that. So, I would agree. I think that the next few months will still kind of be the same. But I think that we just have to find the opportunity in the market and make the opportunity where we can.
Yeah, for sure. I think 2024 is going to be really good, especially I think spring's going to kick us off the spring season. I think we're going to kick off really good, and I'm going to remain optimistic.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, we have a conference next week in San Diego. You're going to be there, right?
I will be there. Yes.
So, you guys, that's the Rise Conference, which is Real's annual conference. This is going to be my first one. I'm super excited. I've seen the lineup. I'm really excited to see the people in the lineup and the people speak. Katie, like looking forward, like what are your plans and goals for like growing your team, growing Real here in Houston, and what can we do to like reach out to agents and help them grow?
For sure. I think one of the things that we, have been working on is what training and kind of meetups and things like that, that we're going to, continue to do, moving forward through 2024, just provide value, to agents here in our marketplace. We do a lot via Zoom and a lot, on online. And so bringing some of that offline and getting together in person. And so, I know we're doing one here in November here in Houston. We're also doing a couple events in Dallas and San Antonio as well, and just continuing to add a little bit more of that in person aspect, right? To kind of bring everyone together and collaborate that way as well.
I think that's super cool. I'm so glad that you jumped on with me today. You're freaking awesome. Katie, tell everybody where they can find you, like your YouTube channel, which is insane, Instagram, all that stuff, because I think everyone needs to be following you.
Yeah, for sure. So the best place to find me would be on Instagram. My username on Instagram is Move Me to Texas, and that's MoveMeToTX.
You guys, y'all got to follow her. Like we're here in Houston, y'all. We're here to grow real. We're here to help agents live better that we've been in for the over a year now, but it's going to get better, y'all. And definitely we're better together. So thank you, Katie, for doing this today.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. You guys have an awesome day. Bye, y'all.